Hi, I'm VinSpeedMark2. Welcome to a slightly longer episode of my Kerbal Space program that I'm calling the Moon Years. Mostly because it's just 3 or 4 missions that will take me to the end of my Moon program for the Konstellation challenge. Before we start, this right here is the Altair LM2B outpost. Its only difference is I've mounted these 2 hitchhiker cams laterally instead of vertically, and I've added some batteries because, let's face it, it's an outpost, it needs to be powered all the time. Also, I've got some slightly bigger photovoltaic panels just to get us that little bit more power, and also these vertical ones here will reach out towards the sky a little bit further and hopefully get those last few rays of sunlight during the year. Okay, so what we're going to do, we're going to send this to the moon, and it's going to be attached to an Orion. Now, because the whole setup here has it's got exactly the same amount of fuel as your standard Altair, it should be able to prove that any Altair can break an Orion into a polar orbit around the moon, and then we'll set up a polar outpost using 4 Kerbals, and we'll leave 2 on the ship to go back home. And then what will happen after that is, in a later mission, we'll send a relief crew in a regular Altair, and they'll turn up and they'll land and swap crews. What we'll also do is we'll also send some rovers as well with that mission. So, you know, that's the mission plan for the Moon Years. Right, let's get going. Enough chatter. Okay, so here we are in orbit. Now just to go back to the Space Center and pick out a crew, stuff them in Orion, and make the rendezvous, really. Okay, so the crew for the first outpost. Okay, here we are, just about to begin our orbital braking. We should still have quite a lot of fuel, so all we've done so far is used up all the fuel in that what would normally have been the ascent stage fuel. As you can see, the Orion's still jam-packed of fuel, and we've still got what I would traditionally consider your deorbit fuel. Yes, I have partitioned all the fuel on this craft, but that's just to make sure I had enough. So we've got the tank, the deorbit tank, completely full, and we've got the 4 main landing tanks completely full, and we've got these, you know, think of them as the jerry cans on the side of your Land Rover, just a little bit of extra fuel just in case. Right, let's just warp time until we get to our landing point. That's about 20 seconds. Well, not landing, obviously. Lunar capture. And we've just gone over the North Pole. Warp a little bit now, it's too dangerous for that now. Okay. That's a bit. Okay. Right. Hopefully I get this spot on and not mess it up in any way. Yeah, you know, not bad. And here we are, in a polar orbit, reasonably, around the Moon. That passes right over the northern pole and everything. Okay, so all we've got to do now is pick who's going on this outpost. For some reason, Maxie's popular #1 choice to get stranded on the Moon, so we'll take him straight over before we forget. Where are you, Maxie? There you are. What are you doing, you lunatic, Maxie? You're... Okay, all aboard. Brilliant. Okay, so a few minutes later, we've come around again on one more orbit and we're approaching the Moon and North Pole. So what we're going to do is we're going to separate the landing craft from the crew capsule. No, undock. Yes. Okay. Yeah. So we'll separate the landing craft, and we are going to. I've selected this rather, or this, the Moon and North Pole's probably about here, I think. Looking at that, yeah, about here. I've selected a rather flat-looking, and that's a relative term, flat-looking area, right, sort of probably just off the North Pole, to land, because landing this thing on a slope isn't really a good idea, even with the outriggers. So we'll try and land somewhere as flat as possible. So let's get out of the way then. Let's get going. Alright, of course, I haven't got any RCS. Would be a problem. In which case, we'd better move this guy out of the way. So we're going to move the Orion capsule out of the way a bit. There we go. Completely out of the way as well, because I don't really want to crash into it as I deorbit. Okay, so we're ready to go. Switch back to the Altair. Main engine's ready. Okay. So one of the main design failures of the Altair LM2B is it's got no reaction control system. I didn't think I'd need it because, you know, we're not docking up with anything as soon as we detach, so I didn't include it. And now I've realised it'll be very hard to control as we get closer to the ground. Okay, so let's try and get to maybe here. This looks nice and smooth. We'll find somewhere We'll probably find that as we get closer to the ground, it probably isn't as smooth as we'd like to think, but we'll see what happens when we get there. And if we warp time, we'll get there quite quick. Quicker than that. Ah, not too quick. Okay, here we go. Okay, we'll try and overshoot it a bit just in case it's not quite where we want to land. No, try not to overshoot it that much. About that much. Okay, here we go. And I'm just going to fast forward that a little bit. See, something like that would have been ideal, but that's a bit probably too far off the moon or pole to qualify as a polar landing. I will fast forward this a bit, but you'll notice that as I get lower down, all the ground will start to render, and you'll really see how it looks flat, reasonably flat from here, but you'll see how steep it starts to get as you get closer in. Somewhere like that would have been brilliant, but well, let's see how it goes. I'd love to see how the Rovers will cope with this. Not very well, probably. So, lesson 2. Always send a scout mission to check your landing zone. Oh, that looks very appealing, that area there. Looks reasonably flat. I can't imagine it can get any steeper than that. Apparently it can. It's all about perspective. Oh God, I need to find somewhere flat. Flat, but on a hilltop. Flat hilltop, like a plateau would be nice. That looks alright. That looks inviting. Let's try that. We're into the landing fuel. Oh, we're well into the landing fuel. Actually, that hill would have been better. Alright. Well, never mind, it's too late for that. I don't think we've got enough fuel to change that now. We've got what we've got. Unless it's very rubbish, in which case we might have enough fuel to swap hills. Probably not, though. Knowing my luck. And look at that, it's not at all vertical, it's just the ship was canted over at a funny angle. On the bright side, that one's even worse, so, you know, maybe we've made the right choice. The right choice right now would be not talking and putting the putting the thrusters on to stop us from crashing into the ground, and putting the gear down as well would be a great idea. God, look at that. That's nowhere near flat. Fortunately, that is all we've got, unless we can just shift over there a little bit. Okay, now we need to slow ourselves down. Do we need to get this thing right? See, the problem with there you go, and we're down. I was going to say the problem with not having RCS is, you know, ooh, we might just be lucky enough to have sunshine all year round. But the problem with not having RCS is, as I was saying, that SAS unit isn't very responsive. So being close to the ground is a dangerous place to be. But anyway, we're here now. We're on the moon, so that's the first part of our Moon Years program done. We've got a crew on the surface, so let's get some people out on the floor. Let's get some flags out. In fact, let's do some preliminary tests. Let's see if the vertical panels will get sun all year round, or all month round, really. There you go. We can see Kerbin, so that's always good. No one gets homesick that much. So we've got almost full sunshine on both panels, which is always good. That's why I had some vertical panels, just in case these aren't in the sun all the time. Okay, and let's get out. Let's get someone out on the ground. Extend ladder. Who are we going to get? We're going to get Jeb. He's a mission commander. Yeah, and there's another ladder about here. And Jeb's probably right now saying something quite poignant about this being one small step for a Kerbal, and something or other like that. Here he goes. Obviously not as agile as Neil Armstrong was. There he is on the moon, first Kerbal to walk on the moon. And he looks home and he thinks, I think I've left the gas on. Never mind. There he is, Jebediah Kerman. Right. Let's get a flag out there. Okay, and there we have it, the first moon landing. What I am going to do is I'm going to warp time a bit to see if we have power to those panels over the entire, switch to the ship obviously, power to these panels over the entire lunar fortnight. That's better. Looks like we might do actually. In expect to get there. I think that might be the worst over here, might be the worst I ever get, so that's pretty good news, right? Follow the sun all the way around. Okay. Apparently Jeb stood outside for those 2 weeks, but looks like we found a spot where you always get at least 0.99 exposure on that one panel all week round, so this is an ideal spot for an outpost. Oh, and also just to satisfy the rule about me being actually on or near the North Pole, i.e. to qualify as a polar landing, let's look at the coordinates of our outpost. It is moon landing 88.8 degrees north, so we're literally, if this was on Earth, we would be about 2 miles from the North Pole. So I imagine the North Pole is that point there, and we're here, so you know, not too bad. That's definitely a polar landing right there. Okay, so here we are a few months later. We've got an Altair with with the rest of the outpost crew. So Bob's in charge of this, and you know, the rest of the guys, whoever's left at the KSC canteen, really. And we're going to take these guys to the moon. Okay, so here we are approaching moon with this, well, it's not quite a replacement crew, it's just the rest of the crew. And we're going to try and aim to land at exactly the same point as the outpost is, which looks like we fly directly overhead of it as well, so that should be easy enough. Let's get there. As you can see, we're just flying over the outpost right about now. And as it is pretty much near polar, it shouldn't have moved too much by the time we get back around the orbit, and we've slowed down anyway, so it should be exactly where we left it. Okay, and here we are in orbit, really. We're going to use this time as we go around the moon. We're going to transfer the crew over to the lander, so that you don't have to watch that over and over again. So I'll see you just before landing. Here we are, just coming up to the landing. Everyone's transferred over to the landing craft, except for Lutre, how do you say that? Who is going to stay in the orbiting crew capsule. Before we lose the Mr. Node, let's undock and get ready to go. Here we go. I was very close to hitting the old crew capsule there. Put our landing lights on to try and land as close to that as possible. Okay, too close, too close. There's Jeb watching us come down as well. Too much tilt, and look at that, there you go. We've landed the second Altair lander, and we are, according to this, 46 minutes from the outpost, 46 meters from the outpost. That's not too bad at all. And hopefully that leaves enough space about here somewhere for the rovers and stuff, so that won't be too bad. And that's the second crew, the second half of the crew at the outpost. Now all we're missing is a pair of rovers just to tear up this lunar surface, really. Well, we are really right on the edge of the hilltop, aren't we? That's close enough anyway. Bit of damage to that rover there, but nothing that we can't fix with second rover down. It's a bit too high, I reckon, but it should survive the drop. And the brakes on, so it shouldn't go too far when it gets there. It's just if it twists over, that's a problem, rendering it unusable. Don't twist. No! That was. Never mind. We've got one rover anyway. Unless we can get a twist again. Go, 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 go. Keep going, yes. Keep going. Yes, it stopped. Brilliant. So, both rovers in a perfectly usable condition there. Okay, and hopefully that stops where it is as well. Okay, so fantastic. That is our lunar outpost fully set out there, and everyone within 100 meters of each other as well, so that's absolutely fantastic. I've been FinSpeed Mark II, and, well, actually, we're not finished yet, because we've got to do some time on the moon, and then got to make sure everyone gets home okay. So, we'll get on to that and see if we can get have some fun with these rovers. Okay, so Jeb's done a couple of quick wheel repairs to those two wheels that were damaged on the landing. We're now going to try out the pressurized rover, because that's the one that's slightly more important for the outpost. clambering on board. Okay, so here we are, Jeb's on board the pressurized rover. So that's the inside view. Not great, but better than nothing. Set the brakes off and take this thing for a spin. Pretty sure the brakes are off. Ah, of course, we're on the moon, so there's not as much gravity, so it won't go as fast as it did on Kerbin. This is the pressurized rover, not as fast as it used to go on Kerbin, but it'll soon get there. Oh, just a bit of a steep hill there. Clearly though, the rover works almost perfectly. Right. Test over, let's get back to the outpost. Okay, so here we have part of our crew returning to Kerbin after our successful couple of months on the moon. We've got Jeb, Bill, Bob, Chadbus, Maxi, and I believe Chadbus, Maxi, and Landlo. So, you know, the best guys, obviously, except for Maxi, but apparently we can't leave him here because of Kerbal rights or something or other. So these guys are going to make it back to Kerbin once we get them loaded up. So we'll start with Jeb, if we can get to him. Whoever, never mind. Where have we got? Alright, I got Landlo, so we can start with Landlo then. Okay. Obviously shan't make you watch me loading Kerbals onto a ship, so we'll come back in a minute. And finally we've got Jeb piling into the ship. Jeb, obviously being overall mission commander, is gonna be in charge on the trip home. Okay, board. Brilliant. Now all we've got to do is wait for the orbiter to not be overhead. Would have been ideal. There Okay. Okay, so we fast forwarded a little bit so that the orbiter's coming back overhead. And if I'm honest with you, I have no idea which way it's going, so we'll have to look at that from the map view. But let's get to the takeoff first of all, and I think he's actually going this way, so that should be alright. Yeah, like I said, let's get the takeoff, and there's a point. I've got to turn off all these engines here, because otherwise things get a bit crazy. So shut down those engines. Okay, and here we go. Apparently I've turned the sound almost off. And here's our simple little ascent stage, just heading into the rendezvous. Actually, not that close, but one more orbit and we'll be at the rendezvous point. Obviously, Bob at the helm, Jeb in charge. Speed that up, get to the. Okay, where is it? There, there's the target. Okay, so here we come for the final approach. Okay, there you go, and we are connected up, and reasonably right orientation. Going to transfer the crew over, and then we'll get on home. Okay, so the crew's over in the Orion vehicle now. So we've got Landlo, Maxi, Bill, and Chadbus in the passenger compartment, and we've got Lutre, Jeb, and Bob in the command module. So we'll detach the ascent stage, send it for a friendly return trip to the moon. There we go. That's that. Okay, where's it gone? See if we can spot it from here. Clearly we can't. Never mind. Oh, there it is. Going in for a bit of a crash landing. Okay, and as for these guys, close shield, we're going to send them back home. Now I'm still not great at returning from polar orbits back to Kerbin, so we'll have to try what we can. Okay, so here we are on our way back to Kerbin, just about to start the return burn, so here we go. Alright, you've got to turn the engine off, forgot about that. Not on yet. There you go. Okay, so here we are coming back to Kerbin. Hopefully we'll end up somewhere near the KSP. Probably not. Mind. retried. Okay, so we're getting to the point where we might need to get rid of our only one continent out, so that's not too bad. Okay, here we come. Just lining her up for the re-entry. We're good to go at the moment, so we can get rid of a lot of fuel left there. Get rid of the service module. Here we go. Re-entry effects coming into play. Okay, and here we are, reasonably safe and sound, on the side of the hill in the desert. Oh well, no science we get, of course we're on a science save anyway. So here we are, the crew, all nice and safe and sound, back home. And that has been my Konstellation Space Program Moon Years edition. Thank you for watching.